Mindful Ambition, the podcast where we explore what it means to lead with purpose and ambition without losing ourselves in the process. I am your host, Dr. Andrea, licensed psychologist, speaker, consultant, and founder of Mindfully Mine and Theraboss. Each week, I sit down with powerful women and emotionally intelligent leaders to unpack what drives them and how they stay grounded while pursuing big goals. Let's get started. Today's guest is someone who understands the intersection of authenticity, influence, and leadership in a deeply modern way. I'm excited to welcome Sarah Breshears, founder and CEO of Social Moguls, social media marketing agency dedicated to helping healthcare brands grow with integrity and impact. Sarah is a first-generation college graduate, a published author, a certified speech-language pathologist, an empath, and a self-proclaimed and rightfully earned meme queen. Sarah has built a platform and a business centered around amplifying the voices of female founders in the health and wellness space, helping them reach more patients and change more lives through social media. At the heart of her work is a powerful mission, empowering women to boldly own their truth, share their story unapologetically, and change the trajectory of their future, while changing the lives of the people they serve. Sarah, I am so excited to have you here today. There's so many things to talk about. So welcome to Mindful Ambition. Side note, you have been such a great part of this journey and my 2025 journey and growth as a person. And I am very, very excited to have you on.
Well, I am so excited. I'm so proud of you that we're even sitting here doing this. I am always in awe of everything that you managed to do.
Yes. We've had a lot of conversations, and one of the things that I talked about in one of my episodes is about having a board of directors. And sometimes in that seat, we need to have the expanders of your life. And those expanders are the people that will tell you, you go to and you're like, okay, these are my goals. And they're like, but if this is your goal, why not this? And I feel like in our work together, you have very much taken that role, one of the people in that seat for me, in terms of really thinking about things in a very different way and just expanding and getting out of your comfort zone and just kind of just hit record, get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and let's see where it goes. So I know what it is to work with you directly. So I'm very excited for everyone else to get to hear your story and all the things and insights that you got to share today.
Awesome. Well, I'm very, very excited to get into it.
Okay. So you are a speech language pathologist by training, and now you're running a very successful social media agency for healthcare brands, which is a unique and powerful combination. Take us back for a moment. What was the turning point that led you from clinical work into entrepreneurship and founding Social Moguls?
So it happened very organically. It was the result of a business venture that I started my very first year out of grad school. We were given, I believe, $100 for supplies for our entire school year. And I realized, okay, I'm gonna have to get creative here. And so I created a teachers pay teachers store where I created my own materials and then sold them for other SLPs to use. And then I realized, oh, well, you have to find a way for people to know that you exist. And so over the next 6 years, I built that store out, but in the process, I learned how to market online. I learned how to create content. I learned how to do email marketing. I learned how to blog. I learned Pinterest. It required so many different skills that as an SLP, I didn't have, but I did my own homework. I did a lot of trial and error and built this skill set. And in 2020, I had a nonprofit reach out and say, hey, we love what you're doing on your socials. And it was a nonprofit in the SLP world. And they said, we would love if you would come volunteer and help us with ours. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I very quickly realized that I had a skill set that not everyone has. I realized how much I really had learned and how much I had grown in my marketing skills. And so I became their Instagram manager and managed that team very quickly. And then that was like October 2020. And then in November, I had gone home for Thanksgiving break. I'm from Oklahoma originally, was living in Florida, and I was doing teletherapy. And I was licensed in Oklahoma and Florida. So it should have been no big deal for me to go home and be home for more than like 3 days. But I was not supposed to do that. I did anyways. And I just remember thinking, this is so stupid. Like, this is just red tape that SLPs deal with all the time in a
Mhm.
system that was not built for us. And that was kind of like the first little snowflake in the snowball. And then whenever I was at home for Christmas, I was having that same feeling again of just like, why should someone else be able to tell me where I have to be? I'm a grown ass adult and I should be able to, as long as my kids are getting what they need, I should be able to do what I would like. And I had seen a listing or I'd seen a post on Facebook of a girl talking about she had just been hired to be a social media manager. And I was like, ooh, what is that? And I realized, oh, this is like a whole like profession. And decided on Christmas Eve that I was gonna like go all in on myself. And my sister and I laid on her bed for 3 hours, I think, and came up with the name and just we were literally off to the races. Very quickly after that, started supporting my mentor, who was an SLP. She decided to run for Senate, and I ran the social media part of her campaign and learned.
That is so cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was so fun. And I actually flew home for election day and like ran to the polls to get results, and it was really cool until we found out that she didn't win.
But it's still a great, awesome
Oh yeah.
experience. I
Oh yeah.
mean, I don't think everyone gets to say that.
Yeah.
I ran an entire campaign literally on social media for someone who was running for office.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
It was amazing.
well, what do you think that you learned in that experience?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
starting off.
I mean, like technically, like technical skills, I learned so much about just how to create content that people actually connect with. But for myself, the lesson that I feel like the universe just continues to help me to learn over and over is that you are your only limitation. Like the only thing standing in your way is yourself. And everything else after that is figure outable. But if you can't get out of your own way, if you can't decide that you're worthy, that you're capable, that you're going to find a way, then you never will. And that's a challenge that I have been given multiple times and a lesson that I feel like I am very blessed to continue to learn in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think that life in general has a way of really pushing your limits. And then when you feel defeated, then it's like, okay, well, let me show you a different way or let me show you a different light. And if we're willing to listen and have our eyes open to it,
Oh
we
yeah.
can really like go in and dive into that.
Yeah.
But we have to be very comfortable with sometimes literally diving into the deep end in a very unknown sea,
Mhm.
and figuring yourself out in the process. But
Yeah, I always say just if it's something that you want to do, say yes. You'll figure out the how. It doesn't matter if you know the how right now. If it's something that you truly want, you will find a way to make it happen.
speaking of like your brand and what you stand behind, it is rooted in authenticity and truth telling, especially online, where comparison and performance can easily take over. So, how do you help women navigate showing up authentically on social media without feeling exposed, performative, or burnt out? Which I know that can be very challenging
Hmm.
for women to get out of out of their own heads and hit record. So, how do you do
Oh my
that?
gosh, yeah. I think a lot of it is really just like dismantling the voice in our head that tells us all the reasons that we're going to fail, that people are going to judge us, people are going to make fun of us, people are going to call us cringe, and really like identifying where that comes from. Is whose voice is that? Because it's not your own. Where did you pick that up from? And Why does it get to determine what you do? I actually made a reel about this yesterday.
I know, I saw
Right.
it.
Um,
But talk about it.
yeah, like I just made this decision that if you are not for me, if you're not who I am meant to serve, if you are not someone who has my best interest at heart, you're not a friend or family or, someone that I'm put here to help, then your opinion does not get to have any weight in anything that I do. You don't get to have a say. You don't get to give commentary. You don't, I don't care to ever hear it, and I will block if I need to.
Mhm.
But you don't get to, if you're not a stakeholder, you don't have a stake. So why am I giving you one?
Yeah.
And in making that decision, it helps me to be able to create from a place of just clear energy and like freedom. Like I'm not trying to squeeze myself into a box that I think other people want me to fit into. I get to just be me. And so that's a lot of what I do in coaching, in the mastermind, in, all of those closer proximity spaces is just helping women to dismantle that voice and decide that it doesn't get to have a say in your life anymore.
What do you find is maybe one misconception that healthcare professionals have about being visible online?
Mm. I think that there's a lot of worry about like ethics
Hmm.
and is my hospital going to be mad or can I even do this? Do I have a clause in my contract with my
Hmm.
facility? I think that that is like the main concern is nobody wants to accidentally break HIPAA or
Yeah.
like misconstrued as like giving medical advice and then getting in trouble. Going
Mhm.
to one of my clients calls it going to SLP jail. Like you don't want to get a call from ASHA. Um,
Yeah.
but I think the fact that you even have that thought tells me that you have the discernment to know what is your limit and what is not, what's safe and what's not.
I mean, and I think that, and I don't know if in SLP world this was the same, but I know very much so, like for me in my training, it's, HIPAA and ethics and
Mhm.
media, social media, putting yourself out there, it's kind of like a little bit frowned upon in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it started to explode and just navigating the waters of being able to give your knowledge and your expertise, but also, yes, very much, it's not advice. We're not giving you, professional advice. This is just something that we're seeing. And, we do not have a therapeutic relationship.
Right.
And also, I'm just sharing something that we, have experience and that might help, might land, but always, that fine line of like, if this resonates, maybe you should speak to someone who will have that therapeutic relationship with you, who can advise you in a way. Because, I mean, as in general as we can speak, there are certain things that are going to resonate with certain people. But everyone also has a very unique story or a unique diagnosis or a unique circumstance. And so it's great to be educated and also it's okay to go and find that help
Mhm.
and speak specifically about what's going on with you so it can be tailored to you.
Yeah.
Um, we give a lot of general information. And the other thing, I think that for me, a big part of why I wanted to do this is because I have found that there's a lot of misinformation. There is a and some people get very flooded and, I can't tell you how many people have sat across from me and they're like, chat, Google, WebMD, they tell me I have all of these things. And I'm like, okay, let's take it a step back. Because it can be very overwhelming with how much misinformation they receive.
Mhm.
And so, now we're having anxiety over these things because they strongly believe they have a diagnosis that it's not what they have or there's but
Mhm.
it's a lot. And so a big part of what drove me into being more on social media has been that is that I think that there needs to be some clarity into what is true and what is not true. And also people like to put a lot of negative things out in the internet
Mm-hmm.
instead of the positives, right? So we can find ourselves very quickly getting wrapped into this negative state of mind because what we're seeing are very, the negative stories and not necessarily the positive ones.
Yep.
So it can be very, the internet online is a very interesting water to navigate, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It is incredible, and the reach that we have and the ability to connect with people on the other side of the world. I mean, one of my coaches lives in Australia,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, yeah. But I would have never met her without Instagram. But
Hmm.
there's also a very dark side to it. And I actually have recently started deleting all of my social apps off of my phone for the weekends, just to like give my brain a little bit of a reset because I do have to be on them so much during the week.
Yeah.
Um, and it is crazy what like the difference in mental clarity that I have on a Sunday after I have had time off of my phone and like living in the real world in my current moment. Um so I think with everything, it's just balance. But I think that the opportunity there is we're so incredibly blessed to be part of the generation that has the reach and the access to everything that we do because of social media.
Well, speaking of social media and a vehicle for connection, not just in growth metrics, how do you help your clients shift from selling and storytelling, and actually build trust and reach to the right people, like their clients that they're trying to reach?
Mhm. That's my favorite part.
I know.
It really all comes back to connection.
Yeah.
You know, before there were ads all over, and before everyone had something that they were selling, and before influencers were even a thing, we were all getting on social media just to connect.
Yeah.
There wasn't strategy. We were just posting pictures of random shit from our lives and just connecting. And at the end of the day, that is what you have to bring everything back to because that is why people are on social media. And if you're not giving them that, they're going to find somebody who will, and they're going to scroll away. So that's something that I try to kind of reframe because, people come to me for help with their social media for their business because they want to grow, because they want to make more money. And it's like, well, we're going to do that, but here's where it starts. And it's always that connection piece and really like getting to know your audience. A lot of times, our audience and the person that we're most meant to help is a past version of ourselves. But a lot of times, the person that we're most like best suited to help is a past version of ourselves. And so
Mm,
when we think about it that way, we have a lot of insight on who our ideal client is that we're trying to reach. We just have to zoom out and like kind of look at it through that lens. And then with that information, okay, how do we create content that really meets them where they're at, that calls out the things that are keeping them up at night, that uses the language that runs through their head whenever they're zoned out and stressing about whatever it is that you help them with. And whenever you can use that, you speak directly to the heart of the person that you are trying to help. And that instantly creates connection. And then that opens the door for business and for them to be a client, for them to buy your program or whatever it is that you're selling. But that connection, that identification with one another has to come first.
I think that's a big one. I mean, and even from a therapeutic lens, right? I always tell people do the discovery call because I might not be the best therapist for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And we might have a first session, and you might be like, you know what, I need somebody else. Or you might be like, I love this. Let's schedule another one. Right. And I think it's just different personalities, different people. We can be
Hmm.
targeting the same audience necessarily, but it might not be a right fit, even so. So you definitely need to be authentic and know who you are and how you want to show up so that people can be, they don't feel hoodwinked and they know exactly what
Yeah.
they're getting themselves into when they're, reaching out, sending that email, buying that course, getting,
Yeah.
whatever that is. It's so big.
Yeah.
And with that, like, how do you feel that you help your clients who are about to be, exposing themselves out there to turn the volume on the noise that doesn't serve them and amplify the noise that does?
It really is like changing your environment. And that's the media that you're consuming, the shows that you're watching, the podcasts that you're listening to, the people that you have in your life that you let have a say. Maybe there are some people in your family that you don't talk to about your business. There are going to be people who don't understand your work, who don't understand why you're so passionate about what you do. There's a lot of people who think that I just play on social media and jack around all day on my phone. And they don't understand that the work that we're doing is actually changing the lives of patients. And that is
Mhm.
why I do what I do. Not everyone's going to understand that, and that's okay. They don't have to, but you also don't have to talk to them about your business. And if that means that maybe on your business page you need to block some of your family members, that's okay too. Or,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's girlfriends from back home that don't really understand. And I'm not, for any of my girlfriends that are listening, I'm not talking about you.
I'm just generally speaking.
Well, it's something that I have seen other, clients struggle
Go
with is
through.
they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my best friends follow me, but they don't ever engage." And I'm like, well, girlfriend, your best friends are not your ideal client. So why do you care? Block them and run your damn business and
Mhm.
run it for the people that you're meant to serve.
And I think that, there's a lot of people that can lurk
Hmm.
and just they're
Yeah.
lurking. And they're harmless and they're just lurking. There's other people who, I'm very big on energies and the energy that people kind of put out
Mhm.
there and the ones that you're receiving. And so there are people who are lurking and sending not the most positive energy. And you just kind of have to figure that out, like
Yeah.
who they are. I mean, I'm a firm believer that people will start to change how they're communicating with you based on how they're feeling about your presence and your
Well,
growth. And
like that's all about them. Like,
exactly. And I was just going to say that I'm like, they're not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur.
mhm.
Being an entrepreneur is a very complicated identity shift.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot to become an entrepreneur, to trust that
Mhm.
you're going to be able to handle and make the decisions that need to be made for the betterment of you.
Yep.
And there's sometimes going to be hard decisions that are going to have to be made. I will take that over working in corporate healthcare ever again, 10 times forward. I
Ever
mean, if
again.
I have to, I have to. But there has been such a shift and a blessing and a change in even how I'm able to show up as a clinician and be able to do that, right? So, and I bring it into that not everyone can understand
Mhm.
why you would jeopardize a
Mhm.
secure paycheck
Mhm.
to trust that you can do this on your own.
Yeah.
Not everyone understands that. And so
No.
you'll see that those people are going to probably navigate and talk to you differently as they start to see you change and your success and how, the fact that you said yes to yourself, kind of like what you said, right?
Mhm.
Like saying yes. You're saying yes to yourself. Not everyone's going to understand that.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are just, people that you start to set boundaries around.
Yeah. My dad, he, whenever I told him that I was going to quit the hospital job that I was at, and that was my dream. I wanted to work in acute from the day that I decided that I wanted to be an SLP. I knew that that was what I wanted to do, and I had the job, and eventually I hated it. I resented it. And, my dad was a very different generation.
Mm.
And he was like, "You can't quit. Why would you do that? You can't do that." And I was like, "Well, Dad, I'm going to. Like, I am.
I mean, it's going to happen. Just let
I'm
you
not
know.
asking for permission here." And what's funny is, you know that my dad has passed now,
Yeah.
and I had seen a medium probably like a year or so after he had passed, just needing like some kind of connection to him. And literally that was one of the things that he said whenever I was talking to the medium is he was like, your dad still doesn't understand why you left the hospital. I was like, okay, this guy's legit because no one else would know that other than my dad.
Yeah. That's amazing. But it's true. Like some people just won't understand it. I mean, I remember, even my own personal experience of that where when I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to spend 12 years of my life in school. And then after that, I'm going to do this and, dedicate blood, sweat, and tears to my clinical hours. Oh, and by the way, then I'm going to go on my own and start my private practice. Like these are the chain of reaction of things that are going to happen. And people are like, why? Not really understanding the flow and what leads you to that decision of going independent and wanting to do that, and just how your life completely changes and your mindset completely changes once you take that leap of faith on yourself.
Oh my
Can be
gosh.
very rewarding.
Yeah. I am going to be speaking at a conference and I was writing out just like a synopsis for them. And that's one of the things that I'm talking about is that like the internal transformation that entrepreneurship demands of you. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
an option. Like your business will evolve and grow as much as you are able to as an individual. And anybody tells you otherwise is full of shit.
I
Like,
agree. I agree. There has to be this internal shift that happens because if you do not do that, you're going to get in your way and in the way of your growth
yep.
every single time. Every single time that you and the thing I was just talking about this with someone that I was like my entrepreneurial career has tested me over and over and over again, and it has put me in situations where it's like you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. And finally, I'm hearing the experiences where it's saying you have to start scaling. Like you're going to continue putting yourself in certain situations if you don't start to scale because you can't have it all. You can't do it all. I've never been more sure of that you get into certain positions and you go into certain things and you burn yourself out and then you were like, okay, I got out of my burnout, let me try this all over again, and then you do it again and it's like, okay, so you didn't learn the lesson, let's try again.
Let us give you the lesson again and see.
Yeah, let's see if this time it lands. But
slam your head into that brick wall one more time and see
one more,
if you figure out.
exactly. All right, so not quite did it land. Let's do it again. So, but again, these are the growing pains, and you will get in your way if you don't make the shift in your mindset and start to trust that you are going to make the right decision. And along the way, there's going to be hurdles, and there's going to be yield signs, and there's going to be maybe wrong ways, right? That you're just going to be like, okay, I gotta take a detour. And you have to trust and learn from those little hurdles and yield signs and detours that you have to make so that you can continue to grow as a professional in your business and as a human.
Yeah. I love that you said the word trust multiple times there, and we just crossed the 5-year anniversary of Social Moguls, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I feel like that was like,
it's a milestone.
and like the lesson of trusting myself and the realization that I can trust myself. I feel like that was like the 5th year like birthday present from Social Moguls, because there are crazy circumstances that I have faced in the last 5 years that I wanted to panic and run away and be like, oh my God, I'll take the hospital job back. But
Yeah.
please let me have it back. But I stuck with it, and I proved to myself over and over and over, even whenever it looked impossible, that I will figure it out. And the like level of trust that comes with that is so centering and grounding. Like I'm not asking for this, universe, but like you can throw anything at me and I will figure it out. And like I trust myself to see myself through it and not fold or throw in the towel or give up and go back to the hospital. Like we're going to figure it out, and it might look impossible, but there's a way over this mountain and I'm going to hike it.
There's one thing that in multiple conversations that we've had in the past, one of the things that you have mentioned, and either to me or I've heard you say it to other people, it's um, if you need to go back, it's going to be there. Like if you need to go back into corporate healthcare, it's going to be there. There's not a shortage of jobs in corporate healthcare if you need to go back. Like, and in general, there's not a shortage of jobs. Like you can go back and do what you're doing in that environment if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But what if it does?
But what if it does? I cannot tell you how much I love that that is like a nugget that you've held on to. That's from my mom. That was always.
Really? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I did not know that, but that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. That was always her thing whenever I wanted to do something that I felt scared to do. I moved to Nashville like 2 weeks after grad school. I didn't know a single soul. I didn't have a place to live. And I packed up everything that I owned. And my sister and my brother drove me to Nashville. And I had a apartment that I was going to look at whenever I got there. And I went in, I looked at it, and I was like, deal, can I move in right now? I need to work. And we unloaded the truck. Like,
That's
but my
amazing.
mom, she was like, she didn't want me to do it how I did it. She wanted me to go find a place and then come back and get my stuff and go. But she was like, go. You can always come back, but the time is going to pass either way. And you can either go and in a year say, I did it, or still be sitting here thinking about doing it. Go. You can always come home. You can always come back. But like go get the experience. Go try. Go bet on yourself. So
It's
I love that you remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's even more special now that I know that it was your mom, but it's, the time is going to pass no matter what. So, I mean, I think that anybody who has ever feared doing even a career change,
Yeah.
finding themselves like, I really always wanted to do that. And, I've just spent X amount of years in this career doing it this way and doing this. So I'm just going to stay here.
Yeah.
And then, you look back and you're like, damn, the time still passed. And like, it's still going to pass. So you can either dive into what might actually be a better place, a happier career, a happier transition than staying what you've been doing, that isn't really bringing you fulfillment. Because if it was bringing you joy and fulfillment, you wouldn't even be thinking about something else.
Right.
Or, I really wish I would have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel like that's like being like, well, I've had my hand on this hot stove burner for 5 minutes, so I take it off now. Like, no, you can still take your hand off the fire and go do something that doesn't burn you.
One of the things that I love about you is that you have had many different seasons in your life and different things and different shifts, and you're like, you know what, you see it, you want it, you go. And one of the things that you have recently gone for is your yoga teacher training. And I wanted to know if you would share a little bit about that experience, like what led you to that moment of making that decision, and what has your journey been since?
Yeah. It is truly impossible to even put into words. So I found yoga whenever I moved to St. Pete a little over 3 years ago. And I was also the heaviest that I had ever been. I was extremely uncomfortable in my body. I would say very depressed also. And I don't even know how. I think I actually found it on Instagram. I started going to this studio, and it was like, as an entrepreneur, there's always something more that you can do, right? Like you can take a course, you can read a book, you can listen to a podcast, you can write another email, you can make another post. The list literally does not end ever. And I felt like for the last 2 or 3 years building this business, it had just been a constant list in my brain over and over and over, and it never stopped. I would wake up in the middle of the night and be thinking about posts that I needed to make for a client, like just craziness. And I found that whenever I was doing yoga, it was like it demanded so much presence of me that my brain finally shut up and I could have a moment of peace. And I remember feeling like going into the studio, feeling like it was this little bubble of protection around me from like that thought process. And I just like fell in love with it. Yeah, it was great physically, but like I always went for the mental clarity that I got and like the mental reprieve from that just unending soundtrack. And so I had been going for probably like a year and a half, 2 years, really steadily. And this is the first ever in my entire, I'm 37 years old, first time ever in my entire life I found exercise that I enjoyed and that I really like looked forward to and actually missed whenever I couldn't go. And that I felt better about myself leaving than when I came. Because as someone who has struggled with my weight my whole life, going to the gym was not fun for me. I felt like I was being judged. I felt like I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. And so if it's not an enjoyable experience, we're not going to
You're
like
not going to do
gravitate
it.
towards that.
Right.
But yoga was so fun, so grounding for me. And whenever I saw that they were offering yoga teacher training, I was like, ooh, I want to know if I'm like doing this right. Like, I want to know if I'm doing the poses right. And so that's why I signed up. And then I get there and we start talking about all of the philosophy. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this was part of it. But also, like, this is right up my alley. Like, this is amazing. It's a really good mix of spirituality and like personal development. Like, if those had a baby, it would be yoga teacher training. And it was, I started like during a period where I was feeling extremely isolated in St. Pete and feeling just like very disconnected from relationships and like just daily human contact, working at home by myself, like it can be very isolating. And so I walked in and found 16 other women who wanted to talk about spirituality, who wanted to be better, who wanted to really like take a good hard look at themselves and say, okay, what can I do to be a better human, to be better for myself, for everyone around me, for my community. And then the physical part really is just like the cherry on top. And so it is crazy the things that my body can do now that it couldn't 3 months ago at the beginning. But more than anything, it's crazy the things that my brain has normalized since then. And it completely changed like my lens that I see life through. And I think the biggest shift that I had is realizing that every reaction that we have to other people is really about ourselves. If I feel mad at someone, there's usually something within me that I'm actually pissed off about, but this person held up a mirror for me. And that allowed me not only to take accountability for myself, but also whenever others have done things that were not the kindest to me, I'm able to look at that and go, you know what, that is about you. Like your behavior, that really is about you and what you're going through. And I'm sorry that you're going through that, and go on with my life. And it changed the way that I see my relationship with myself, but also my relationship with everyone around me. And I gained 16 really incredible, beautiful, brilliant friends out of the experience.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that they're, going through that experience of really self-development and, for me, the lotus flower is always like a
Yeah.
very big metaphor in my life. And, being able to, even through muddy waters, something beautiful can blossom. And, I think that muddy waters are all the not so great things that we have experienced, the things that have brought us tears, the things that have brought us, highlighted insecurities, or the things that, scattered our energy and put our brains and our minds in very not great places, right? Like those are the muddy waters. But we really take a moment to dive into ourselves and really, really get in contact with like who we are deep down. We can be a beautiful lotus flower all over again. And I don't think that there is one version of us, like, right? There's not one lotus flower, right? Every season and every heartache and every tear may put us in different muddy waters, and then another lotus flower is going to come out. And you know what? You might be bigger and brighter than the first version of that lotus flower of yourself that you were. But I think that there has to be a lot of, for yoga, I have never gone through the yoga teacher training, but for me, yoga, I feel like, was always a space to let go of the scattered energy and really find that alignment, find that peace. You can leave and your mind is going to go in a million directions, probably because it was already going in a million directions before you came in. And also you deserve to go and give yourself that hour to just be present. And I always recommend yoga to my clients who have difficulty with meditating or have difficulty. I'm like, use it in movement. I always find that
Yes.
movement is always great. Yoga is one of the places where I'm like, you can use the movement of yoga to also be present and to really, really focus on what your body's telling you. Listen to it. I mean, you're going to be focused on not falling over. So you want to make sure that you're centered, that you're grounded, that you're here, that you're present, and that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
The noise from the outside world is still going to be there. The fires that you need to put out are still going to be there when you leave, but you deserve to give yourself that time and moment to just align the scattered
Yeah.
energy around you.
Yeah. It really is like the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. And I love you said it'll all be there for you whenever you leave. Whenever we're connecting with our breath and setting the intention for the practice, I have like this visualization of a shelf, and every thought that pops up of I need to do this and don't forget to make that call and don't forget to send that and da 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 da, I visually in my brain put those on the shelf and say, okay, it'll be there for me whenever I'm done, but this next 60 minutes are mine. And literally like push it out of my mental field of vision and really just like focus in on me. And I feel like that, knowing the gift that that is the reason that I decided that I'm actually going to teach. I wasn't going to teach whenever I very first started. I was just going through the training because I wanted to improve my practice. But being able to create the space for other people to give themselves that gift is like the ultimate gift for me. And so I'm really excited to start teaching.
I am excited to see you in this new journey. I mean, I think that you have done such wonderful things, and you are truly an inspiring person. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but you really are. And the things that you say and how genuine you are. You're this kind, genuine person, and I am, very grateful that that Vanessa came along and was like, I need to introduce you to Sarah. I'm very grateful for that connection, because it's, and just seeing you evolve has been beautiful to see as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to do a little bit of a quick fire of questions
Okay.
to wrap up. So just say whatever comes to mind.
Oh, God.
Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. What is a value that you lead with?
Authenticity.
Yes. A belief you had to unlearn as a woman in business.
Making money is hard.
A boundary that changed everything for you.
No social media notifications, no work notifications, nothing after 6 p.m. My phone automatically turns it all off.
I love that you do that. I wish more people would do that. A mantra you return to often.
You are the magic.
I love that. And what does ambition with intention mean to you?
I feel like my first thought is just because you can doesn't mean you should. We are more than capable of creating any kind of life that we want, any kind of vision that we want. But whenever we get really intentional about what it is that we want to build and what the legacy is that we want to leave, that's whenever the magic really happens and whenever we create the thing that we were truly put here to create.
Well, thank you for being here with me today and sitting and really being so inspiring and giving us all these like nuggets and insights for us to take. So thank you for joining us on Mindful Ambition. If today's conversation with Sarah resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with a fellow ambitious woman, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep showing up with intention. Your ambition deserves to be honored.